Welcome everybody. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm very grateful to talk about a very important topic, mental and emotional health. I think it's the epidemic that's actually happening in the world right now with all the lockdowns and all the changes and all the wild stuff happening in the world, which I actually think is a beautiful thing because before COVID hit, there was actually a lot of this stuff going on. And now that this has all happened, it's actually brought it to the forefront. So I'm actually very grateful to speak on this because we got to highlight all this stuff and create more conversations where people can feel safe talking about these things. Before I get into this, I'll just briefly share a little bit about my background. I grew up here in the Bay Area, just north of San Francisco. Got my degree in kinesiology, which is the study of human movement with an emphasis in fitness, nutrition, and health. Within 2 years of graduating from the university, I opened my first coaching facility, which I ran for 11 years. And then I eventually opened a second coaching facility with the largest female-owned corporation in the Bay Area. It's a $120-something million a year corporation, and I still work with them today. So I've been very successful as a coach, 20 years of coaching, 20,000 hours, yada, yada, yada. All that's fine and great. But I really feel like this next generation of coaching for me is specifically going into trauma coaching and more specifically shadow work. And I'm going to touch on each of those a little bit today. Now, as I get into this, the key thing when it comes to trauma work and shadow work coaching is like being able to have a compassionate, I'm going to say that again, compassionate conversation first with yourself, and then be able to have compassion for other people. Because two people who experience a traumatic event are going to experience it differently. Some people are just going to let it roll off of them, and other people, they're going to hold on to it. Some people are a little bit more empathetic than others. And the key thing to recognize is that trauma isn't necessarily what happens to us. Trauma is the residue, a substance of dormant energy held within us. I'm going to say that again. Trauma is the residue, a substance of dormant energy held within us. And what this means specifically when I mentioned, let me know if I'm talking too fast. I'll talk fast. Is that you're like having my degree in kinesiology and like coaching. I started out as a fitness coach, and I could tell I would get two people doing my program. Some people would just take off and get great results. Other people would struggle a bit. And first I was like, look, what's wrong with my program? And then eventually I realized that there's emotional stuff that people were holding on to. And part of my success as a coach really came down to actually helping people to acknowledge their emotional struggles. And it's like dormant energy, and working with doctors, physiotherapists, massage therapists, you can actually you hold on to it within the body, like in your neck, in your back, in your hips. And this can actually keep you from moving forwards in your life. So the first step here is to have awareness around what's coming up for you, what's going on viscerally, and then being able to dig deeper into what's going on in the unconscious world. Now, what I've done for you guys today is I usually do PowerPoints, but I actually created a picture for you guys. I hope you guys like pictures, so it's picture time. So this is a simple way of expressing this because it's best. I sit here and talk all day, but I really feel like having an image helps to express things and make it land more in your mind. Okay. So I actually with every client that I coach, this is the first thing that I teach them. Okay. And specifically, we're going to talk about the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, and the unconscious mind. Ooh, the darkness. Okay. And so the reason why we go over this, specifically having a picture, our subconscious mind only works on images. So when we have that trauma, that's residue or substance dormant held within us, that can be an image that we're holding on to of ourselves. And specifically, when we talk about shadow work, we could be projecting that out externally, our anger, our guilt, our shame, our sadness. So let's go over this, and this will make more sense for you guys as I go over this. So you could be on this boat, all right? And you ever heard the song, I'm on a boat, baby. That's what this is all about. You're on a boat, and you're consciously going towards your goal. You want to lose weight, get in shape, make more money, attract true love, whatever your goal is, okay? And so you're consciously rowing, and we'll give you some little more hair here to make you look a little more pretty for you ladies. And so I want to have fun with this stuff. It's deep stuff, but it's good to have fun on the journey. So consciously, you're heading towards your goal. Like I said, I'm exercising, I'm saving my money, you're doing all this stuff. But here's where the issue often is for people. The subconscious mind is going against them. So they're actually fighting the current of the subconscious mind. They have this image, a limiting belief, a story. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy of love. Money doesn't grow on trees, or my feelings aren't valid. So if you're out here trying to date, and you have this story in your own subconscious where you're dating and you're like, my feelings aren't valid, or I'm not worthy of love. How's that going to show up in your dating life? It's not going to work out so well. You're trying to find this person to love you, but there's something deeper below the surface. So the key thing here, we're going to get into the unconscious here in a minute, is recognizing for yourself what images, when you get triggered, what's going on subconsciously. That's where it comes down to compassionate awareness around what's going on in the subconscious mind. So you can have the propeller set, You can have the sail set and be rowing your freaking butt off, wasting all this energy, literally wasting energy. Okay. But if the current is going in the wrong direction, it's going to be very difficult for you to get the results that you want. So the whole goal here, first off, and I had a lot of success as a coach, just helping people in the subconscious world. But then I started getting into shadow work and deeper stuff. Okay. So what happens here is you may get the current right, but there could be some other residue held dormant within the body or physiology. Now, some people, they're actually sitting on the back of this boat and they're just looking at their past, their traumatic experiences from their past. Maybe you were physically abused. Maybe you had you were beat up in middle school, or maybe there was like some kind of sexual abuse or some experience back here. And so what people are doing is they're looking at their past, and the boat is completely off course. So it's making it very difficult for them to actually manifest their dreams, manifest the abundance, difficult for them to date and then actually attract the life that they deserve. I always tell people, it's not what you want. What do you deserve? Because it changes your language structure around attracting it into your life. That has a lot to do with the subconscious mind. Now, here's the deeper part. We haven't even gotten to the unconscious yet. So some people are sitting on the back of this boat. They're fighting the subconscious mind and wondering, why am I not getting the results that I want? But here's the deeper part. This is the really deep stuff. This is what's up? 3 minutes? Okay.
4 minutes.
Cool. Perfect. That works good. So what happens is, okay, this is the deep stuff, right? Some people, when we get into shadow work, is they've actually thrown an anchor or multiple anchors down into the unconscious mind. And it's latched onto like a rock down here. And now you're just going in circles. And you're like, what is going on? But it's unconscious. You cannot see it. And this is like working with a coach or getting support or having a group like this. It's a beautiful space for you to create that compassionate awareness where you can cut that cord or pull that anchor back up on board and be able to change this current. And now you're manifesting abundance like a freaking magician. That's what I'm talking about, baby. Like I'm teaching you how to be magicians. But this is just a big picture of what's going on for lots of people. So like I could sit here and tell you, you need to lose weight. You need to get in shape. You need to start like working on yourself. You need to meditate more. And all that's great. But if you still have an image within yourself that you're not good enough, you're not worthy of love, money doesn't grow on trees, it's still going to affect you. So the first step here is start looking at yourself and realize, where are you on this boat? What could be going on here in the unconscious mind? And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. And how could you shift those things and create the awareness that allows you to move forwards? So I'll talk a little bit now about shadow work. Did you guys like that? Was that cool? Was my picture good enough for you? I'm a stick figure artist master. All right, so let's talk a little bit about shadow work. And this is a very deep subject. I've weeks of coaching where I teach this. So there's 3 stages to shadow work, and specifically working with the unconscious material. Carl Jung spoke about making the unconscious conscious, because otherwise you're just going in circles. Why do I keep struggling in my life? Now there's 3 stages to shadow work. And like I said, this goes pretty deep. There's shadow work. It's beginning to recognize that you have unconscious material, right? This is what I mean by shadow. It's just, and it's darkness. It's not bad or good. I always tell people 90% of your shadow is pure gold. It's just the 10% of darkness you have to sift through to actually acknowledge the shadow. So that's the first stage, is shadow work, acknowledging the shadow. Number 2, we have shadow integration. That's when we bring that stuff back to the surface and begin to integrate repressed emotions like anger, guilt, shame, sadness. If you're repressing that, it's running your life unconsciously. That's what's keeping you going in circles. And so then we do shadow work, shadow integration, and then what I call shadow awakening. You begin to awaken to your truest potential, because what you'll be doing is you'll be unconsciously, if you haven't done shadow work, and many people haven't, you'll project your shadow onto other people, and other people project their shadow onto you. But when you've done this work and you actually integrate your shadow and you heal those unconscious wounds, then you can show up more authentically, more lovingly. You can live the life of your dreams and actually, like I said, manifest abundance like a wizard. And my favorite piece, the true gold at the end of the tunnel, is you'll recognize other people projecting their shadow into you, and you'll have better relationships, specifically with the people that you love, your family, your friends. Like I have my own trauma with my own family, and my dad and my mom and I, we can all talk about it. And we're all a lot happier now because we have that safety in my own family. Am I at 10 minutes?
Just under 1 minute left. You've got 50 seconds.
Okay, cool. So just the last few key points here is like there's a cycle here, okay? And I'll share this last gold nugget with you guys. Key point is creating awareness around your triggers. What's triggering you? When you get triggered, what's the meaning you're creating? I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy of love. That can be your shadow in the background, kind of taking off your course. Then from there, what's the emotion you're creating? Anger, guilt, shame, sadness, okay? Then what behaviors keep showing up? Because people often, they get triggered, they go right to the emotion and the same behaviors. They're spiraling out of control in their lives. So where can you be curious? Let me say it again, get curious. Find the thread, pull that thread, get to the root cause or core conflict. So then when you get triggered, you can create a new meaning, create new emotions, and then create new behaviors. And as I said before, manifest the life of your dreams because you deserve it, you're worthy of it. And thank you so much for having me on this call today. Hopefully you enjoyed what I shared.